Are anxious. Angela Ellis of the Good Things Foundation, thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Bye-bye.
You see, Tommy, yet another thing I didn't know about. I did not know about the Good Things Foundation and Make It Click. Great scheme, and the links are on our website. Adrian Huston, tax and employment expert, joins me now. By the way, we're still taking your questions about wills and probate and solicitors. If you are getting in touch, I can see. But do keep asking, and we'll come back to Mark Borland in a moment. But good morning, Adrian.
Good morning, Linda.
So we've been talking kind of every month since this all started. It was March when the self-employed workers got that grant worth 80% of their average monthly profits. Then that was part one of the grant. Part two is now available, has to be claimed before the end of October. Is this now the final payment? HMRC says it's the final payment, and it comes as a government furlough scheme starts to wind down as well. So what's happening this month, Adrian?
Well, certainly I do think this is the final payment. I know our executive are asking London to get the chequebook out and extend furlough, but certainly my opinion on that is that the Northern Ireland executive should pay for any extension, and it should be limited only to those businesses that the Northern Ireland executive is saying must remain closed, wet bars and the like. So that's where I think it is. I think we will see the furlough ending as predicted at the moment at the end of October. And so the things people need to be doing now is seeing, have they claimed for their staff for furlough? Have they brought them back maybe part-time? And then they can do this partial claim for furlough. So just because you bring them back a couple of days a week, you can still put in a furlough claim for government assistance for a portion of the wages you would have paid them for the rest of the week if they had been able to work full-time. And then for those self-employed people, they need to get this second tranche of self-employed support claimed, but importantly, they must be able to say, sort of hand on heart, that they were adversely affected after the 13th of July. So the first claim was, has my business been adversely affected by COVID? But the claim on the second basis, the second phase, you need to say that you remain or you are adversely affected after the 13th of July. Now, they're not asking you to provide proof, but they say you need to be able to provide it if they were to ask. So you need to think about that. If your business is absolutely back to normal, then you wouldn't be able to claim.
And how do you do that?
Again, just like we were hearing from Angela, it's all done online these days. So you go to the HMRC website. You could Google SEISS and then HMRC. I've just put a link up on my own Houston Tax Twitter with a link straight to it as well, and I'm sure your website will be doing that as well. But it's relatively easy. You need to put in your UTR, your tax reference number, and all your details that way. And then the hope is that you don't fall through the cracks. For instance, people who are newly self-employed, some of them are getting nothing if they started self-employment after the 5th of April last year. Or people for whom self-employment was a smaller part of their income. In 2018-19, a lot of them are also not getting any support.
There are winners and losers then?
There are, I'm afraid. They had to come up with something which was relatively easily administered so they could roll it out very quickly. I mean, quickly is quite an emotive term for HMRC. So they had to do something fairly quick. If your profits were a bit weird in 18-19, but you had been self-employed in previous years and it was the most of your income then, there is an option for those earlier years to be taken into account. But you just need to check the HMRC site to see if you are eligible. And if you got the last claim, then so long as your business is still affected, you will get the next one.
Well, we certainly jumped quickly to the Eat Out to Help Out, didn't we? Because I just saw some facts on that. Across the UK, we ate 100 million meals to protect 2 million jobs. Northern Ireland, 2,207 outlets in Northern Ireland signed up. And we claimed for 2,789,000 meals across Northern Ireland. Total amount of discount claimed just over 16,000. Average discount £5.79 a meal. So we certainly ate out to help out, didn't we?
We did, and I did do my best. I think I managed to avail of it about 3 times during the period as well. And a fantastic initiative. I really commend Rishi Sunak for coming up with that one. It was truly innovative, and it's completely skewed the restaurant market in that their weekend was in August, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday and even Saturday was maybe a bit quieter, but it has produced an awful lot more traffic into restaurants, getting us back to normal, which is what we need, because the city centres need workers in there. They need them going to cafes and restaurants. So it was a tremendous scheme, and it's lovely to see that some restaurants are now out of their own pocket.
Yes.
Extending something similar to this through into September with no government help.
It's just a promotion, really, isn't it? You know, it's giving you
It is, but they realised that it worked and it got people through the door.
What about your tax return? Is that anything different this year? Because there's a date now coming, isn't there, where you if you get your tax return in, they'll do the sums for you. Has to be in by the end of January. But is that all just happening as normal? That's
all happening as normal. You need to get your tax return in by the end of October if you want HMRC to do the sums for you, and also to not to charge you £100, because if you submit it on paper, you can do that up to the end of October, and they'll do the calculations. If you do it online, the calculations are always done. So we're really talking paper tax returns. After the end of October, they would fine you. So if you haven't it done by the end of October, make the effort and find out how to do it online, because that's the way you'll avoid a £100 fine. The only other changes, people didn't have to pay their 31st July tax payment, self-assessment. If they were asked to do one, they were excused that they can pay it as late as January with no interest. But they need to remember, January is therefore going to be a big bill, so you have to have set the money aside. So some people chose to pay it anyway, others have left it. Aside from that, the only other thing to be aware of for next year's tax return is that any self-employed grant you got is taxable. And will have to go into your self-employed profits. So it's one of the little subtle things people don't realise. No such thing as free money. Adrian Huston, thank you. And we'll come back to you again, Adrian, as things wind down, things change, because it's very good to get some clear advice on what's happening in that world of finance and furlough. With me, Mark Borland, solicitor and spokesman for the Law Society. Mark, good morning again. It was interesting when I was talking to the tribunal people about what was happening, why the office was closed. They actually said that they were developing a new online service, which is for probate, which will enable personal applicants and solicitors to apply online for a grant of probate. And they say the challenges created by managing paper-based systems during COVID have underlined the need to move business online. Are solicitors doing more online these days rather than writing letters to each other?
Yes, Linda, we are. Solicitors in Northern Ireland are using a variety of means